Good morning, everybody. This is Walk the Dog with Riot Mort from Los Angeles. And it is about 7:40 in the morning. Definitely getting a late start today. These days take a lot out of my social battery, that's for sure. It's like having a lot of meetings, and then also even like the fun stuff in the evening. Like we did a Magic draft last night, which was very fun. But like it takes a lot out of me, and then my brain's just like, I need a break. But we're not quite there yet. 2 more days to get through. I mean, really, 2 more weeks to get through, and then summer vacation for rioters. But today is actually a holiday, so me and a couple other people are working through it and making it up for it next week. But so the campus will be very empty today, which is nice because I'll actually probably get a little bit of work done. So that will be quite nice. But yeah, last couple days of the trip, it's very overcast right now, which makes it feel like home, because it's, not sunny California right now, but that's okay. And let's see, yesterday while I was working, there was a lot of crazy drama about ladder and all that jazz, and the discords were furiously typing. And there's always silly takes, and we'll talk about that a little later today. But yeah, it's been quite a trip though. It's been quite a trip. So cool. All right, I owe you guys questions. Let's talk about questions. Today's are, I don't know, I would call them light questions. So first question is about flat versus percent armor and MR reduction, and when it's good to use either, or what, from a design perspective, what's the purpose of them and things like that. So basically, it's funny. If you think about outputs, things like armor reduction, healing reduction, shield reduction, or weakness stuns, right? Like, all output is a chance to add variety to your game, right? Like, if the only thing we had in our game were stuns and damage, every champion would start to feel the same, right? And you need unique modifiers to make champions stand out as unique from each other, right? Like, the reason Elise isn't just damage is because she has a flat MR shred component, which makes the kit interesting. Now, the thing is, when you add anything to a kit to make it interesting, it creates a fantasy that a player will want to achieve, right? Using Elise as the example, if I give you access to flat MR reduction, but let's say that number was one flat MR reduction, the odds that you're ever getting anybody down to 0 MR are really, really low, right? It's like, is this actually doing anything? It's just slightly invisible power that's a small amount. So typically you have to lean into these fantasies, right? Nobody wants to stun anyone for 0.5 seconds. But if I get to stun you for 3 seconds, like, dang, that's a stun that feels impactful, right? So when making a game, not just TFT, but any game, having that sort of variety of outputs leads to, good variability in your gameplay. And this is true, this is why Magic makes new keywords. This is why League of Legends has all sorts of different outputs, right? Like, every game goes through this. So, why am I jibber-jabbering about all this? Well, it's like, does TFT really need both types of armor reduction? Not really. But it's a unique output. And so sometimes we allow it to make sure that sets have variety. Now, generally with percent armor reduction, what we've basically said is this is a debuff. And back in the old days, I don't know, for those of you who've been around a long time, you might remember we had up to 70% magic or armor reduction, right? And this would be from things like the Vi 2 cost in set 4. I remember she did armor shred, and it punched, for 30, 50, 70 at 3-star. Not that many people were doing 3-star at 3-star Vi, but it was a 70% armor shred. And before we'd really created a nice framework, it was basically just whatever the designer felt like putting. That's all it was. It was whatever the designer felt like putting. So when we made keywords, right, this is like burn, shred, sunder, what we decided to do, our original idea was there would be small, medium, and large of all of these debuffs, right? So a small burn would be like 1%, a medium burn would be 2%, and maybe in some extreme case we'd have a 3% burn. Likewise with armor shred, it was 20, 30, 50, was our framework for that. 20, 30, 50, small, medium, large. Now, the challenge with that is that armor shred is very, very powerful, like extremely powerful, right? If in some cases it's, if you ask any challenger player, they're like, you must have it, which is a little hyperbolic, but it is like essentially, even if we shortcut to your team is doing 25% more damage, like that's a powerful buff, right? And so what we found was like 50% just wasn't really tenable. We shouldn't be shipping 50%. So then it became 20 and 30. So 30 is sort of the standard, right, that you can get from items. And 20 is the light version that isn't as good. Now, do we even need both of those? To be honest, probably not. There's probably a world where items like Last Whisper are actually only supposed to be 20% shred. But the challenge with that is if what a champion provides and what an item provides are the same, then what'll happen is any trait or build that has a champion that happens to have that shred no longer ever needs to build Last Whisper. Whereas at least right now, and it's always funny because you see Twitch chat do this, they'll be like, doesn't that champion already have Sunder? And you're like, yeah, but that's 20%. So I'm going to build Last Whisper for 30%, right? Which creates a dynamic decision-making where it's like, if you want to waste an item slot to give that extra amp to your team, great, do it. Like that's a good decision-making. So that's kind of where we've ended at with that. So then the question is flat, right? Like, so now if you have this, why do you have flat? And like I said, flat is only used as a modifier of a champion. Like we will never make flat shred on a trait or an item because it doesn't really make sense. And obviously it would just get, let's say Last Whisper was flat shred, flat sunder. It would just be, put it on your Zeres, put it on your high auto attackers. That's kind of solved. But instead, it's sort of fun to put it on champions, especially champions that have to go front to back. Like, remember the one cost Samira? It's like, hey, if you have to go front to back, eventually I'm going to get through this tank, right? And so if that tank has 150 armor in front of it, I can slowly hit it for harder and harder and harder. And it sort of acts as a ramping mechanism for that character's damage, but in a fun way where it also helps the rest of the team. And so, it's the TLDR here is that it's good to use on champion kits for variety. And if you're going to use it, you have to lean into it. So it has to be like big chunky amounts, right? Like if I remember Samira, the one cost was like 15 or 20 or something. Like I think at some points it was even higher than that at 3-star. Though when it got too high, we had that Samira patch. If it's 50, obviously that's a problem. But that's why Elise feels good, right? It's like slowly but surely. And that's why the Elise Morgana pairing is such a hilarious pair, is because it's like Morgana's doing damage over a long time, and over that long time, Elise is shredding down their MR so that they both hit harder, and it feels good, right? It's nice and synergistic. So, but yeah, so realistically, you'll still see flat occasionally on champions because it's good variety. But yeah, that's kind of the context. So, cool. All right, next question. Okay, so this one, since I'm in LA, this person was asking about the famous Riot HQ Cafeteria and if I could give a tour of it and talk about it a little bit. Can't give a tour of it. I mean, technically I probably can, and in fact, I'm about to walk by it again, so I'll like highlight it briefly. But how it kind of works, and the way it works here when the campus is open, which is not today, is that they have a very light breakfast. So you can get like fruit and bagels, nothing crazy at breakfast. Mostly because most people aren't here at breakfast. So you can see it here. It's actually called the R building. There's all the tables, and there's the cafeteria. There's outdoor tables, there's indoor tables. So breakfast is pretty light. Again, mostly because people aren't here. Most people start at like 10 o'clock. And then lunch and dinner, they have basically this like full service that is subsidized by the company. So basically you're not paying anything, and you can come in and get food. And especially when you're young, like imagine you're a 25-year-old who got a job at Riot, the ability to have like all your meals here, very enticing. The other thing it does is like, if you're here on campus, normally people will take an hour for lunch break and they might leave, try to go get some food somewhere else, come back, maybe lose extra time. But if you're here on campus eating, you're sitting with your coworkers, you might be talking about work problems. Some people here would probably tell you stories about how I had this great conversation at lunch and now we know how to solve this problem. So it acts sort of like a way to keep everyone sort of on track, but it also feels good to have the food. But that's not the question. Your question is like, well, what's the quality like? Now, because of my pickiness of eating sometimes, I don't like a lot of the food sometimes, because like, for example, they'll make these delicious burgers, but the burgers come with coleslaw and mayo on them. And yeah, you can order it separately and take extra time, but it's like, you can't grab a pre-made one. But, there's a lot of good food here though. Like there are definitely, and they'll theme it every once in a while with, someone was mentioning like there was a Star Guardian menu, and it's like, yeah, they do that actually pretty frequently. Now, granted, sometimes it's a normal day is pepperoni pizza, and on Star Guardian Day, it's friendship pepperoni pizza. Okay, I see what you're doing here. But yeah, the other thing is that, I've been at Riot now for almost 9 years, and what I can say is early on, this place used to be extravagant. Like, the person who asked this question was like, what was your favorite meal there? And you're going to laugh, but my answer is very rarely, way back in the day, and I don't think they've done this since COVID, they had nacho bar. And it was not just any nacho bar. It was like high quality chips, nice melted cheese, steak, like little bits of steak, tomato, like it was everything you could want on nachos. It was some of the best nachos I've ever had, and you got to control your portions. Oh my God. Like, I was like a kid in a candy store the couple times. I think in all my time at Riot, I think they only did it 3 times that I was here for. But my God, nacho bar was like, I was in heaven. Now, whenever I come here, I'm not as excited because, like, A, I'm trying to eat better, and B, you know what I have for lunch every day here? Broccoli and chicken. Now, it's like decent chicken. It's like cut up, and they've got some sort of seasoning on it I couldn't describe to you because I'm not a foodie, but it's broccoli and chicken. Woo! Or like, what was dinner last night? It was rice, broccoli, and like this sausage ravioli thing. Okay, cool. It's not bad. But I'm also old, Free food doesn't jump off the page to me and make me go, oh my God, I love it. It's just a thing, and to be honest, I'd rather have my wife's cooking sometimes. But it's definitely a pretty cool perk. And like I said, sometimes, like when I was eating a lot less healthy, man, anytime they have French fries, I would just get a bowl of French fries, and their fries are good. They make really good fries here. There's always pizzas. And it's funny, the pizzas is always pepperoni pizza and some pizza you've never heard of that has zucchini and peppers and cauliflower, and you're like, what? You guys would make the Ninja Turtles sad with this pizza. What are you doing? So, but yeah, it's and as in the post-COVID world, as more people come into the office and things like that, like it's been spiking back up. The other favorite thing, so I mentioned breakfast is not that much. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, not today though, sadly, their breakfast grill is open and they make an amazing breakfast burrito. I love that breakfast burrito. I used to get like the burrito and bacon and hash browns and fruit and scrambled eggs. It's like, oh, that's the best breakfast. Since I've been here, I have had the burrito twice, just the burrito, because I love that burrito. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking about the Riot Cafeteria, but yeah, it's a thing. I mean, it's a thing from the tech era in 2010s where tech companies definitely splurge a little bit on maybe a lot of stuff, the snack bars all around and the free soda and the yada yada. But, definitely attracts the younger employees. But it was also definitely a shock to go from Nintendo, where if you wanted a Pepsi, it was $1 in the vending machine, to here where it's like, oh yeah. And of course with anything, then there's the people who like work from home, walk into campus to get food, and then leave and go back home. It's like, God, there's a level of entitlement that I'm not really comfortable with, but yeah, it's still pretty cool. So, okay, next question. The most upvoted question we've had in probably since I started doing this. It's definitely up there with like 40 upvotes. Dino asks, can I have $5? The answer, Dino, is yes, you can. I have a rule when I give out money. If somebody came to me, and I know them and I'm close to them, right? Like if one of my coworkers came to me or a family member came to me and they're like, can I borrow some money? Or I guess there's also a difference between can I have some money and can I borrow some money, right? Because can I have money? Well, I mean, if it's less than $10 and you've been good to me in the past, yeah, sure, why not? I'll buy a friend a meal or toss them $10 if they need it or whatever. No big deal. When it comes to borrowing money, I have a rule, which is if somebody asks to borrow money and you're going to give it to them, you have to be comfortable with never getting it back. You have to make the assumption that you're just never going to get it back. And if you do get it back, awesome, pleasant surprise. But that has to be the level of comfort you're at. So for example, if I have a family member who comes to me and says, hey, can I borrow some money? I have to go, okay, I don't know if I'm ever getting this back. So the limit I can loan you is this. And, if that family member never pays me that money back, okay. I mean, it'll suck and I'll learn my lesson, but yeah, that's kind of my policy. And what I will say is pretty much every amount of money I've ever lended in the past has been paid back. I had one person pay me back and just throw on 10% interest to be nice, which was like, I didn't ask for that, but okay, cool. So I know this was a lot more detailed answer than I bet you were expecting, Dino. But the TLDR here is, can you have $5? Yeah, you can. Especially because you helped me out with magic stuff. So absolutely you can have $5. I'm happy to give you $5. Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on online discourse? Now, this person was asking about how we went from like chat rooms to forums to discords to Twitter. What's your thought on online discourse? Now, here's the short version, because obviously we could go down a whole rabbit hole about humanity and the toxicity in online discourse, and then it just makes you lose faith in humanity because the dregs of society can type on Twitter. I don't want to do that right now. It's a Thursday. It's a happy day. But here's what I will say. I think if you go back to like 2000, right? Like when I was first going to college, and let's say 2000 to the 2008 era, the people that were online, like going online was not a common thing, right? Like my parents weren't really online in 2000 to 2008. It was the nerds. It was the, frankly, usually, on average, slightly higher IQ people that were online. And so online discourse could still be stupid, right? Like go back and read a GameFAQs thread from 2003 and there's going to be some kid, but at least it's some nerdy kid who says something stupid. But like, that was fine. Generally, it didn't include the wider society. And I think even early League forums had some of this, right? Like before League got really popular, if you were to somehow pull up like League of Legends forums from the first year, there's some good stuff in there. In fact, seeing how like at the time he went by Zillion as his online handle, but how Tom would talk to the community on that first year on that online forum is one of the reasons why I wanted to come to Riot. Like that discourse between people, I think is really cool. Finding a community of people that all have a similar interest and want to talk about that similar interest is great. I think the closest thing to that right now is Discord, right? Because you go to a community of things you like, whether it be the Mortdog Discord or the TFT Discord or whatever. And like it kind of captures that same spirit of the early 2000s online discourse. The problem is, as internet has become more available, everyone's online. I said my family wasn't online in 2000. Every family member I have now has a phone and a Twitter account, and like the online discourse is higher, and all of a sudden you've got 50-year-old angry women who have online accounts, or the 20-year-old who is somehow homeless but also has a cell phone and is online. Like, it's become a place where everyone can talk. And to that end, it has made the discourse very, very bad. And so any of these like wider areas stopped being useful. And I bring this up because like if you look at the League of Legends forum, and the League of Legends forum after that first year, when the game started getting big, the forum quality went down, right? Same thing with World of Warcraft, right? I remember World of Warcraft forums, even though the game was pretty big, not everyone would like go to the forums and talk about it. But as the forums grew, oh my God, just idiots upon idiots, right? And again, I've said this on stream before, but it's like, there's a part of me that as a human studies wants to meet these people, right? Like, I want to meet the person who, for whatever reason, feels the need to go on Twitter and reply to everything at Grok, is this true? Like, what is wrong with you? Right? But again, that sends you down this rabbit hole of like, what is wrong with humanity? So, and if I learned anything from my break, is like, staying away from that part of things is good. So, all of this is to say is that I don't like how online discourse expanded its audience, because in that audience expansion, the discourse got worse. And so I personally find that the smaller, more impassioned communities are where the best discourse is. And so you can't go to things like Reddit or Twitter. And Reddit's, okay, Reddit, by the way, I didn't talk about Reddit. Reddit is the worst because Reddit masquerades itself as a small community, right? It's like, hey, you want to join this competitive TFT subreddit that only has 100,000 members? Or you want to join this subreddit for whatever? It's only got a few members? But it's not. What it actually is Reddit is where you go to join a community if you used to like a thing, but now you're mad, right? Did you used to like Rick and Morty and you want to go to the Rick and Morty subreddit to complain about it? That's where you go. Did you? Thanks for the dust there, leaf blower. Did you used to go to like League of Legends, but now you're grumpy about it? Go to the League of Legends subreddit. It has become, like I said, I like the smaller communities, and Reddit pretends it's a small community, but it's actually just a hate watchers community. And because everyone at Reddit can go to any subreddit, it's like, you know what? Today I'm angry at Call of Duty, so I'm going to log on to the Call of Duty subreddit and troll those guys. Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? So I think that's awful too. Yeah. So TLDR, I like our Discord. All right, last question. I got through a lot today. Good. Oh yeah. Good luck getting through this one in 5 minutes, Mort. Thoughts on the online ladder system and all the drama that happened around with it. So, obviously, sensitive subject here. I got to be careful what I say. I don't need someone taking this out of context and trying to make more drama out of it. Okay? But I've been dealing with competitive players from Lobby 2 and TFT for 6 years now. And, not to mention I'm 40 and I've seen competitive stuff throughout the ages. And here's what I've learned. There is a type of mindset of player that, or if human, there's a type of mindset of human that will do whatever it takes to achieve their goals at any cost, no matter the morality of it, no matter the fairness of it, right? It's like they are entitled to this advantage, right? This is I'm a Major League Baseball player, and steroids are against the rules, but everyone does it, so I'm going to do steroids. Or, what was the bicycler's name? I'm blanking on him, but, the famous cycler who, sure enough, was juicing. It's like, well, yeah, but everyone was doing it. And it's like, well, why'd you do that? And it's like, well, I mean, to be the best, I had to do that, right? And to be the best in TFT, I had to abuse that bug. There was no other choice than for me to abuse this bug or cheat this system or play in this way. There's just no possible other choice. They lack the ability to even perceive other options because their brain is wired in such a way that their goal must be achieved at all costs and nothing else is relevant. And they will justify it in any way, right? And I admittedly am not this type of person. I'm a Boy Scout and very by the rules lawyer kind of guy. And so I have very low empathy for these type of conversations because one of the worst that drives me nuts, and I saw a bunch of people that honestly I respect, but when they have this argument, I'm just like, oh my God, I just do not, I can't. And it's like, hey, we caught this person using steroids, so they've been banned for the season. Well, why didn't you catch everybody using steroids? Hey, we caught that burglar stealing. Well, since you didn't catch everybody stealing, I should get away with it. What in the God's world logic is that? What in the holy hand grenade, pathetic human? Oh my God. It actually enrages me that someone can think, well, because I'm speeding down the highway and I got pulled over, but you didn't catch all the other speeders. Jesus Christ. Dumbest. Ugh. But what I also learned is that for the first few years of TFT, I tried to parent these kids and try to give them perspective and hey, maybe you don't have to cheat to win and stuff like that. It doesn't work, right? A, I'm not their parents, and B, that's the way their brain works. Is it doesn't matter. They will justify it all they want because that's what they need to do to win, And so it's not great. But I also have no pity for it. And to be frank, I hope Riot cracks down on stuff like that more. I hope people start receiving lifetime bans. I hope we send a message that you don't need to cheat to do well. And so, but I was slightly inconvenienced and I had to make a smart, shut up. Just shut up and work hard and get better, Now, that's not really the point of your question, though. The point of your question was actually well, what do you think about the online ladder? Now, again, I can't go into this too much. I'm not esports. Esports has plans, and I don't want to second call their plans and things like that. But here's what I can say. Right now, the online ranking ladder is serving too many different purposes, right? The primary purpose when the ranked ladder was designed by the designers ages ago even before TFT on League of Legends, right? It's like, for the people who play our game online, this is a ranking system of how you compare to other players, right? And it's going to have flaws, but generally it does the job well, right? Like, the top players are at the top. If you're in the middle of the pack, you're in the middle. Now, it's not the perfect execution because, well, if you actually care deeply about who's number 9 versus who's number 10, and that can matter, there are incentives to screw that up. Or because there's no official, like, here's the time when you're supposed to play, there can be ways to game the system where it's like, actually, if you queue up at 4 in the morning, you get easier opponents. And so even though I'm number 9 and you're number 10, you're actually better than me. I just happen to queue up at easier times and play easier opponents, right? Like, it is definitely not a perfect measure of skill, and it can't be without, like, incredibly formal rules, right? Like, if you think about this compared to a tournament, right? Like, a tournament is you show up, everyone plays the exact number of games, seeded in a certain way, and it's a good measurement. But a ladder is just like, hey, one person had time to play 50 games and picked the hardest time of day. Another person had time to play 200 games and picked easier times of day and had someone behind them coaching them. How are these two people measured in skill, right? The ladder is not a perfect measurement of skill, and it never will be, and it never can be, but some people like to pretend it is. And especially if we're using that ladder to essentially measure who gets to participate in tournaments, right? Like, all of a sudden you start to see the cracks in that system. So the obvious question becomes, well, why don't we make a better system? Yeah, again, if you have this magical design, you let me know. The closest thing to a better system is the super server in China, where you have like these 8-hour windows and you play. That is the closest thing, but that is not a system, because that's like, what, active for a week? What do you do the rest of the time? And what if that person has life engagements in that week, right? Like, what if you can't play 8 hours a day for a week, right? How would the mismatched socks of the world be able to participate because he doesn't have time because he has his normal job, right? Like, that defeats a lot of other goals. So there really isn't a better system of just like, make the ladder better. So now, that being said, I think there are other solves. If it's possible that we shouldn't be using the ladder at all, it's possible there should be, there's other things, but I promise you, no matter what esports teams comes up with, these same players will complain, because they will find one little thing that they perceive to be a loophole, because again, that's how their brain operates. It's like, find the loopholes, find the exploits, and they'll complain about it. So I do not think there is a magical solve out there. I think it is naive and ignorant to think there is. And so I admittedly wish that everyone could just like have morals and play the game and be fine with it, but that's not the world we live in. So, and I'm not going to spend any more time trying to parent kids to be better people. So, not my thing. All right, I'm way over time. Hopefully the microphone's still recording. I'm always worried when I go past 30 minutes. But I've been walking for a while now. I'm going to go get started on my day, try to find something to drink, and I fly home tomorrow night. I'm excited. I might start stream Saturday a little late because my flight doesn't even get in till like 6:50 p.m. I imagine I'm going to get home at like 8:30 or 9 p.m. And so I also want to like see my wife and say hi instead of just rushing to bed and getting on stream. So I might be a little late on Saturday, but it is what it is. So, all right, that's going to do it for me. Until next time, take it easy.